Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the version 3.4 memory of course did reset not that long ago, but also version 3.4 marked the first wave of buffs in Honkai style for their old characters, and of course that included Blade, you know, my absolute favorite character, mascot of the channel, as well as Kafka, absolute iconic unit, and also Silverwolf, who of course is now one of the best in slot supports for an Acheron team. So today I decided we're going to test out 3 different teams in the current Memory of Chaos and see how they hold up all this time later. So we're going to start off with a Blade team. Alongside it will be Hyacinth, as well as Tribby, as well as Sunday. And then for Kafka we're going to be playing herself, Black Swan, Robin, as well as I believe Aventurine or the Vulture. And then for Acheron we're going to be using Jiaocho, Silverwolf, as well as Aventurine. So yeah, that's it for the teams we're going to be using. Let's see how well these teams can clear. Let's see how they hold up all this time later. With that being said, let's just hop right into it, starting off with our Blade. Also, real quick, all limited characters you see here will be E0S0, so we are making this as free-play friendly as possible from an investment standpoint as possible. With that being said, let's hop into the runs. Alright, well then here we are with our Blade half. I only just realized that I have to press a call, which is slightly awkward, but anyway, we're just gonna go ahead, actually no way, first we're gonna go ahead and get hit. Unfortunately, they don't hit our Sunday so that we get our ult on his turn, which is unfortunate, but what else can we do? Anyway, let's just go trigger Hyacinth's max HP buff so that we can deal more damage on our Blade. We're not gonna have Sunday's buffs for this first hit, so don't expect much. This is gonna be pre-buff Blade numbers right here, even when you have all of your buffs up. So let's see, 47k, okay. Slightly higher than the joke I made, but not too far off, to be honest. Anyway, let's go ahead and use our Sunday skill as well as ult, so that now we have all of our buffs up on our Bladey. So we can go ahead and use his ultimate here. Let's see, can we hit for 300k? Maybe. Nope, 211k, unfortunate. Although we actually haven't activated Tribby's ult yet, so I'm expecting to do a bit more damage. 100k there, 169k, and now that our turn's over, we can go ahead and action advance without messing up our turn order. And perfect, okay. We'll see now that we have Tribby's ult how much damage we're exactly going to be doing. Anyway, okay, because this guy got weakness broken, I think that resets his sanctation rate or whatever it's called. I believe it does, which is perfect. Okay, do you want to hit our Blade once again? Yes, you do, perfect. Okay, the problem with Blade's team on this half is purely Sunday, because Sunday is gonna get CC'd a lot by this attack where we have to hit in order to cleanse. If you're running a E0 or S0 Sunday, then it's pretty painful, because you need to use your skill 3 times in order to get your ult back up on time. And if you use one basic attack, then that really messes up the anti-rotation, which isn't great. So yeah, our Blade clears could be faster if there wasn't so much CC in this abyss, but what can we do, unfortunately? I mean, the crowd control... Actually, also, the other problem is that Sfarag, when he has an attack where he'll lower your action advance by like 15, which is actually a really big problem into -1 speed setups, because that will just fully mess up your speed, especially because Blade has increased taunt value. It means that he's going to get hit by that attack more often, and he's the one which is 1 speed faster than Sunday. So, yeah, honestly, even though the enemy lineup, with the fact that it's like very blast favored, is quite good for this Memory of Chaos when it comes to Blade, there is an issue when it comes to the actual enemy design, which is slightly unfortunate, but there's not much we can do about that. Anyway, we're gonna go right down the middle so that we can go ahead and try to one cycle the first half. That would be perfect. No 0 cycle, unfortunately, but 1 cycle might be good enough to get us through. If we use our basic on Hyacinth, we will get another Eco proc there. I want to try to see if we can save our ult. If not, then that's fine. Unfortunately, this doesn't action forward our entire team, so yeah, we are going to have to go ahead and use our Hyacinth's ultimate to go ahead and try clear this wave. I would have preferred being able to ult on her turn, but that's not much we can do. That should take out this guy. Yes, it does, perfect. Yeah, it's more important to save an entire cycle than it is to save one ultimate, so yep. Anyway, I believe Eco should go. There we go, perfect. Blade gets hit, that's just what you want to see, and that's the action slow which I was talking about. That will really end up messing us up quite a few times. Anyway, 130k there on the follow-up attack into 165k on the ult. Okay, now we can actually refresh all of our Sunday buffs up on our Blade, which is perfect. Of course, the one Yeah, one of the problems when it comes to Blade's best in slot team is that so many characters want to use people like Hyacinth or Tribi if you have Castris, if you have Mighty, if you have Jing Liu, and then Sunday just gets wanted by everyone in the entire game. I mean, HP scalers, Finon as well. He's really good for Saber as well as Aglaya. So yeah, although Blade is actually a really free-to-play friendly DPS nowadays, with the fact that, you know, you can get him off standard banner, you can get his, or not standard banner, but the 50/50 lost pool, and the fact that his E1 got buffed so much that E1 Blade is actually probably like a tier 0.5 unit. 240k there on the follow-up attack is nice, 300k on the ult, hopefully. Okay, 300k is not quite reachable for us right now, although to be fair, the one thing I will say is that this memory turbulence buff does not help Blade whatsoever. He does not do skill damage, he does not do dot damage, he does not have attack scaling. So yeah, this is literally the most useless memory turbulence ever for Blade. And considering that, whatever we get for the team performance, I'll be decently impressed as long as it's not too slow. But yeah, like I said, when it comes to the team, it is quite rough for Blade, but if you're not using many of these, I mean, there are some substitutes you can have, especially have Blade's E1, then you don't need all of his best in slot team units. But if you don't have his E1 and you don't have all of his best in slot teammates, then you're probably looking at about a 5 to 6 cycle clearing unit, 5 to 7 depending on enemy lineup, as well as memory turbulence. Like, this is probably on the slower side, even on his full premium team. If we actually had a useful memory turbulence here, we're probably clearing in 4 to 5 cycles, E0S0, whereas if we had a better, but the one we're looking at right now, it's roughly a 5 to 6 cycle, in my personal experience. Anyway, let's go ahead and action forward. Unfortunately, it doesn't bring us into the next cycle, but that's still fine. We're going to go ahead and ult on our Sunday's turn so that we can basically get one extra turn in, which will allow us with SP as well as NG rotations, which is very nice for us, of course. Okay, we don't need to refresh our skill. Yeah, also, I want to show off our buffs there. 106% crit rate to 340 crit damage as well as 8k HP. Pretty decent. Now, if you have his E2, of course, that also gives him quite a bit of extra crit rate, so you can actually build a bit more crit damage, which is very nice. Technically, could go HP body as well if you want. I'm not sure which one would be better there, but yeah, whatever. Yeah, you know what? I think we just go. Actually, yeah, no, we're gonna basic here. Actually, no, I probably could have scaled there. Yeah, I probably would have made a bit more sense to scale there. That's fine. What can you do? Okay, do you hit us? No, you not quite yet. Okay, Hyacinth does get her ultimate here though, and okay, the hand luckily doesn't go. If it did, that would have been quite annoying. But we do. Hyacinth deals wind damage, Tribi deals quantum damage, Blade deals wind damage. It's probably gonna be Blade who gets taken. Although if he does get kidnapped, that does suck for the action turns once again. That's just why I hate facing so many crowd control units in one go. It makes using -1 AV teams such a pain. That's the nice thing about Castris' team. It doesn't really matter what your AV is. I mean, it does for like dance and stuff like that. But when it comes to turn order, it shouldn't matter as much as it does in -1 speed setups, which unfortunately is most DPS teams in the game. Or at least one. You're basically always going to use one where it is. But I mean, it's not the end of the world. We're still doing fine here. You know what? I think maybe if we... Actually, no. We can basic attack because we're probably going to get our ult from there. Yep, perfect, like I said. And now... Ooh, maybe we should target the big guy. Because if we are able to save a... Yeah, we should be able to save Sunday from getting crowd controlled if we can take him out here. We're just going to go ahead and buff up our Blade real quick, just in case. In between Blade... Okay, in between the Tribi follow-up as well as Blade's basic attack as well as Hyacinth's ultimate, we should be able to... Actually, you know what? We should be able to do it without it. Yeah, there we go. He just has a smidge of HP left. And there's still a bit of time before... he goes again, so now we can actually ult on Hyacinth's turn, even better for our SP economy. Will this take him out? Not quite yet, because this next skill should weakness break him. We should be able to. And just in case we have the Tribi ult as well, does that take him out? Yes, it does. Perfect. Okay. And now we only have 15% left on Svarg, so we should be looking at a 25 cycle here, which honestly I will take for a version 1 unit, even if this is a pretty expensive team. You know, like I said, Blade himself. I mean, like I said, if you get Blade's E1, you can replace Sunday for like a Bronya, Tribi for like an E1 Ron May, Hyacinth for like a Luocha, and you'll get decent results. Not as strong I mean, actually at E1 I'm not sure exactly how strong it will be, but yeah, you know what, I'm still decently satisfied for that. 25 cycles with Blade in 2025 sounds decently impressive no matter what, to be honest. Oh, actually I wish I didn't Heisen out there. I wanted to finish it off with a Blade attack, but Ika probably kills her. No, he doesn't. Okay, perfect. So we can go ahead and use our skill like so, and then basic, and there we go. That's 5 cycles on Svarog. So yeah, with that, let's go ahead and hop into the dot half now. Well, and now we have our dot half using Lewocha as our sustainer, Robin as our buffer, who of course will get replaced by Hysolent in the future, hopefully, if we can get her. I'll have like 80 pulls and like 30 pity, so maybe we can get her. I mean, we do have the emergency pulls if we need to, although I do want to save quite a few of those for Cyrene, because oh my god, I absolutely need my Alicia XP. I say this every time, but Alicia is just one of my favorite characters in all of the Hoyoverse. I mean, she was the first character I pulled for in Honkai Impact 3rd. I really liked her in the story, and we even shared the same birthday, and I also love her design. I loved it from the beginning. She was also one of the, she was like the second banners after I started playing, one of her reruns. So yeah, I started playing in like Easter of 2024. I haven't played much since. I've finished the Flame Chase chapter. I haven't done the part 1 chapters after the Flame Chase, but because I mean they got decently longer and I just kind of ran out of time. So yeah, but anyway, back to the run here. Hopefully he doesn't CC anyone important here. Okay, and he CC's Black Swan, but luckily we do have Lewocha's Cleanse here just for that. I do prefer Lewocha into the... I should have ulted on Robin first and then Lewocha actually. Because if we go ahead and Robin ult, we'll get our turn action before any enemies take their turns, and then we could have ulted on Lewocha's turn so that his healing field has like full uptime. Otherwise it has like 1 turn downtime if we don't do it on his turn, but oh well, what can we do? Anyway, let's skill for 118k there. Nice. Go ahead and use Kafka's ultimate as well. 245k. Who thought we'd be doing those numbers on an E0S0 dot team in 2025 with Hysolence? I'm really looking forward to some of the damage numbers we can pull off. I mean, also Hysolence is one of my favorite HSR original designs. Kafka, Acheron, and Hysolence are probably like 3 of my... Although, to be fair, I also really like Aglion Casters. You know what? Star Elders has too many good character designs. I give up. I'm not going to go ahead and try ranking them. Anyway, we are off to a promising start here. On the bright side, unlike the Blade team, we don't really have to worry about the crowd control here. Because, okay, that is annoying, but luckily we do have Lewocha's Cleanse, which is definitely a positive. And then also all of our units are able to attack, other than Robin, but then she can't get CC'd when she's in that state anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, we're just going to go ahead and skill there for 78k. The dot damage buff there is coming, or the skill damage buff, scaling on attack, is coming in pretty handy there, if I say so myself. We can go ahead and ult on the Lewocha's turn now, get his healing field, I was going to say his feeling healed up, that would not be right. And then go ahead and basic attack, so we get an extra SP for our Kafka and Black Swan. Okay, luckily he doesn't take a turn there, so we should be able to take him out before he CCs anyone. Let's go ahead and use our skill there on Kafka. Generate a bit of SP off of our Lewocha, hopefully. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that, and then ult before... Okay, never mind, we didn't even have to use our ult on Kafka, that's perfect. I believe this should start on Robin, never mind, because... Oh yeah, she only goes first in the action because of one whack procs, never mind. You know, I'm just gonna basic here and save our ult. I would have ulted there, but because we don't have Black Swan's defense shred up, we wouldn't actually deal that much damage when it comes to our... Oh, actually, no, we wouldn't generate that much energy because we are on the tutorial outcome, so we get more energy when they are defense shredded. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna wait for Black Swan's second turn before I ult on our Kafka. I think just build up a bit more dot, you know. Just gonna ult here just in case as well, because our Black Swan isn't doing all that healthy right now. So we can go ahead and skill this. Skill on Robin as well, which will give us some extra turn, or some extra... Actually, no, I don't think our skill buffs dot damage whatsoever. Although, I think that's only the ult. Although, I could be mistaken. 121k there on the ult will take it. We haven't built up as much dot as we would like yet, but that should be fine. Okay, that's scary. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and use our ult here. We're only gonna end up missing out on one Black Swan turn. I'd rather that than risk any of our teammates getting captured or any of our members getting captured. That would not be ideal. Okay, luckily the hand is Wind to Lightning as well. So, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and basic attack this thing. So that when because we're not going to be able to get, we need to use our Kafka skill. I want to prioritize Kafka's skill over Black Swan skill. I think it will allow us to generate more shocks on her, and Black Swan can use generate Arcana with her basics anyway, at least my personal opinion, and priorities. I am curious how the SP is going to work though in the Highstones team. I haven't paid that much attention to people's early access gameplays to know how SP economy works in those teams. But I'm hoping it's not that rough, unless you want to use skill on all of the dot girlies, in which case that will be slightly troubling. Okay, 200 phase. Although I don't think Highstones needs to, because I think she can stack quite a few dot on her base attack, although I could be mistaken. Also, to be fair, one of the reasons why SP runs a bit low on this team is because of Robin not regenerating much SP for you, which is why she's actually not that good of an SP generator. Even though she doesn't use much SP, she also doesn't generate much, so you are kind of relying on your sustainer. Anyway, let's go ahead and basic attack this guy so that we don't get CC'd, just in case. Okay, never mind, he applies it straight away anyway, so that made literally no difference whatsoever. Unlucky, Robert's ducky. If we use our skill here, because of the Death Shred, we should be able to get our ultimate. Yes, we do. Perfect. We can ult here on the Watcher as well. Once again, ult on his turn in order to extend it ever so slightly. And now we can also use our Kafka ult whilst we are in Robin's ultimate to deal more damage, because our Black Swan will have more attack. Therefore, her Kafka will be able to detonate the dots for a bit more damage. And actually, we can build up even more Arcana here by using a skill on our Black Swan. Now we go ahead and ult on our Kafka's turn, like so. 234k, beautiful. 158k on the skill as well for about 380k in a rotation. We will go ahead and take that, and then of course all of the damage that happens on Svarog's own turn, aka 187,000. Robin might be, I was gonna say Kafka might be able to get ult here, but unfortunately she doesn't. But that should be fine. We are just gonna wait off on using it just a second longer. We want to wait for Black Swan's turn. Okay, I was really hoping we could have got our ult there, but that's fine. Did we skill here? Yeah, we might as well. We have a little bit of SP to spare if we think about it. So now we just go ahead and ult one more time. We can generate a bit of SP here from using a basic on the Watcher. I could have ulted on Svarog's turn, and then Black Swan's ult would have dealt more damage then. Which I actually think is a really dumb mechanic. Whenever they buff Black Swan, they definitely need to remove that. I think it's pretty pointless. Okay, question is, will we be able to 25 cycle like we did Blade, or will it go down to a 24 cycle? We will just have to go ahead and see. Let's go ahead and skill. Is it worth skilling on the small guy? No, if we want to aim for 25 cycles, we need to take out Svarog as quick as we can. Luckily, we will get some extra turns here from Robin being able to use her ultimate as well, during which we'll be able to deal increased damage, of course. Contribute to this guy's weakness bar break a bit more as well. And then we can skill here definitely on our Black Swan, and then we can ult on Kafka. Okay, perfect, that guy goes down, so our Robin will not be getting CC'd, perfect. Okay, the question is, how much do we deal? If the hand takes us, this could ruin our entire run, so you know what, I am just gonna go ahead and use our ultimate here. Maybe this isn't the best play, maybe I'm trolling, but I mean, if he took the Watcher, then that wouldn't have been much of a problem. Yeah, unfortunately, I think I might have trolled this, if I'm being entirely honest. But there's not really much we can go ahead and do here. Yeah, we're not going to be able to get Kafka's ult. Even then, I don't think it would deal 16% of Svarog's HP bar, although we will have to go ahead and see. Let's see if we skill and then ult 16% into 30%. Yeah, we would not be able to. At least I don't think. Unless we stack... let's see, how much do we deal if we stack up some extra dots here. Will this deal 9%? Let's see. Or are we gonna have to wait for Svarog's turn for him to... yeah, we're gonna have to wait for Svarog's turn for him to go down. Okay, 1%. Okay, yeah, so we went too close to getting a 25 cycle. But you know what? I will take a 24. I've already... like I said, first of all, my dot units aren't built amazingly. And this is also pre-Highstones. So, yeah, with that being said, you know what? I'll take those. And finally, let's go ahead and move into the Acheron plus Silverwolf run. Alright, and here we are on the Acheron run, where I've actually decided to go for Hyacinth as a sustainer, since we don't need her ult up all the time, since we don't actually have any HP scaling going on here. And then, first of all, she also has Cleanse, which is useful, whereas Aventurine, I was trying to use him, but then I realized I just have a bad time with Hyacinth. And then she'll also do okay damage, considering the fact that both Jiaocho and Silverwolf are able to give her damage amp, which is very nice. Anyway, we're just going to go ahead E and ult on our Jiaocho, as well as E on our Silverwolf as well, and then go straight for the ult. Reason why I open with her technique is just so that I can get the Death Shred, so that I can proc the effect of the tutorial icon, so that we can then get a bit of extra energy. Now let's see that our Acheron is at 81 crit rate to 182 crit damage right now. Which, you know what, when you think about how even our version 1 DPS blade gets like 100 to 300 crit damage, you kind of realize that Acheron's crit ratios, if you don't have her Lightcon or her E1, are not that great. Unless you have like really cracked relics, but I literally grinded for months and this was the best I could come up with. To be fair, there is the Boundless Choreo Lightcon, which would help. I think mine's only at S1 though. If I was able to get at S5, I'd probably use it. But then otherwise, I feel like an S4 Goodnight Sequel is just better because it does give quite a bit of damage bonus. Or increase the damage dealt. I'm not quite sure which one it is. Anyway, okay, maybe I want to implement the old type of res there, although since that won't make our stack generation go up in multiples of 3, then maybe that's not ideal. Also, I wish they would remove that mechanic where you just need 9 stacks total and it doesn't actually stack on specific enemies. I wish that was a thing, because of course I believe it's a damage decrease if you're not able to do stacks of 3 whenever you actually do your big hits. But we should be able to one cycle here, I believe. If we need to, we can go ahead and use our Silverwolf's ult as well. Just gonna go ahead and basic attack on our Hyacinth. No need to do anything fancy here. He'll probably die from dot, if we're being honest. Actually, maybe I should have tried weakness breaking him there. Should be fine either way. Let's just go ahead and use our Hyacinth's ult, I suppose. Actually, you know what, basic? Actually, yeah, you know what, I thought I could maybe finish him off with the weakness break from the basic. Never mind, we do actually need to use our ult there. Slightly awkward, but you know what, it's fine, we'll survive. Although, because we just used a basic there and we are 1 turn down, we probably need to skill here on our Hyacinth if we want to get our ult up relatively soon. Although, you know what? No, you know what? These enemies hit a lot, so I probably don't need to, if I'm being entirely honest with myself here. Luckily, 1 cycling there does save us a cycle, so I'm hoping we could maybe hit a 25 cycle here, similar to how we did with our Blady team. Of course, if we did have a Cypher, then our clear would be going quicker, although unfortunately I don't, so yeah, it's slightly unfortunate. But yeah, Acheron, I mean, you know what, I have no complaints with Acheron whatsoever. I wish she held on a bit better at E0S0. Nowadays you really want either S1, E2 ideally, but S1 is by itself quite a big boost. S1 Acheron plus Cypher plus then either Jiaocho or a Silverwolf will be pretty damn strong. Throw in a Hyacinth, also decent sustain. Maybe Terravox will be a better sustainer for Acheron. We'll have to go ahead and see. Why do I keep calling him Terravox? We know his name. We know it's Dunhung. Actually, I forgot what the second part is. Maybe Terravox is. Maybe it's just easy to call him Terravox if I'm being entirely honest. But we can just call him Preservation Dunhung or whatever, because there's no way I'm remembering the second part if I'm being entirely honest. But yeah, I mean, Acheron served me incredibly well in between 2.1 to like about 3.0. So you know what? She hung on for a year. After we got Acheron, putting Acheron was what let us clear MOC 12 for the first time ever, and we've been clearing every single Memory of Chaos since MOC 12 in 2.1. So you know what, I have no complaints whatsoever of Acheron. She completely changed my account and made all of my endgame runs, which you've seen on the channel, possible. So you know what, I am not complaining. Like I said, I just wish she held on a bit better, but maybe she'll get buffs in the future. If Firefly is gonna get buffs, then you'd assume that Acheron would as well. Her getting kidnapped doesn't really matter much because, she doesn't really do that much on her turns other than apply 1 weakness, but even then, her speed isn't the best, so we're not relying on her too much. And luckily, like I said, there's no AV tuning here, unlike the Blade team, so it's not as much of an annoyance if the hand captures anybody. Anyway, we do have our ult ready on our Acheron rather. Okay, this guy doesn't have the ult type of res pen up. But does that matter, to be honest? It shouldn't, so you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and go for the hit. Also, that guy, his CC doesn't matter whatsoever because all of our allies hit. Let's see, we have the 12% decrease there, as well as the 45 defense shred there, 20% all type res, 13% all type res, and then also an additional 20% all type res. So 13% all type res, 33%, and then also an extra 20%. I'm not quite too sure why, but you know what? I'm not gonna complain. We go ahead and hit 624k into 3 targets, which by itself isn't that bad. Although, you know, I mean, Jacho does let Acheron get quite a few ults, but even then, she doesn't ult as frequently as someone like Castrus, I don't think, and then Castrus will probably hit for higher numbers. Even into off element, Castrus will probably hit for higher. I mean, Castrus cleared in 4 cycles in her premium team off element, and to be fair, one common thing about Blade and Acheron here is that the memory turbulence didn't help either of them that much. I mean, the Acheron team more, because whenever Silverwolf, Jacho, and Acheron use their skill, it will deal the extra damage because they have damage dealing skills, and then also it's based off attack, and all of these guys scale with decent attacks, so you know. It's more useful than the Blade team, where Blade's skill literally does not deal damage, but even then, it doesn't benefit that much from it in the grand scheme of things, because it's not that big of a portion of the damage comes from their skill damage anyway, so it doesn't matter all that much. Okay, how satisfying to see 3 ultimates go up at the same time. Unfortunately, we did just use our Acherons, so we don't have all of our ults up at the same time. That would be quite something. Anyway, let's just go ahead and ult on our Hyacinth's turn, extend that by a bit. That guy's nearly gonna go down, so we won't even have to think about him in a bit, which is perfect. Okay, now just go ahead and ult on our Jiaoqiu as well, just get as many debuffs as we can. Real question is here, will we be able to 5 cycle or not, or maybe even 4 cycle? Let's see. We're heading into the 26th. He does have 40% HP left, so I do have high hopes here, if I'm being entirely honest. I think this. Okay, well, this guy's definitely gonna go down. Might as well just finish him off like that. Should kill him. Okay, never mind. Okay, she gets delayed, which unfortunate, but doesn't really change all that much in the grand scheme of things. You know what, we're just gonna go, actually no, you know what, I'm gonna basic because I do want to get some quantum weakness break. I much prefer it compared to just a little bit of fire dot. Go ahead and scale that. Okay, that guy goes down, perfect. So now we have all 9 stacks on Svarog whilst his quantum weakness broken. I don't think our second hit crit there. That is the issue with the 80% crit rate. So we're doing 303k to a single target, which, you know, isn't insane, but it's not too bad either, all things considered. Like I said, not buffed whatsoever by the memory turbulence, so I guess 303k not all that bad. 133k from the skill. We might as well basic attack here, I think, and then just ult because we want to get as many debuffs up as often as we can. Question is, will we be able to deal 25%? I would like to think so. I'm just gonna go ahead and ult him here just so that we can get that off already, and then Eagle set does actually forward us, which is nice. And let's see, okay, we have 20% to deal in 1 whole cycle. We should get a second Acheron ult off, so let's see how much we deal with this ult. The answer is, okay, so we dealt 7%, so we need to deal 6% in team damage. Let's see, so that's 12% there. We'll have to see how possible this is going to be. We're just going to go ahead and use our skills. 11% left. We might not make it, I'm not too sure. 8%. Quantum weakness break could be huge here. Okay, 7%. Oh, we won't be able to get an Acheron ult off though. That is a bummer, man. Damn. Even with Jiaoqiu's stack generation as well as an Eagle set Silverwolf, we weren't able to 4 cycle, unfortunately, or 5 cycle, unfortunately. Instead, we're looking at a 6 cycle. There is definitely a world in which I think we might be able to 5 cycle, maybe if we hit a few more crits. So I do think 5 cycles is possible, so I think you're looking at about 5 to 6 cycles when it comes to the Acheron team. Honestly, all of these teams we've used so far were 5 to 6 cycles, which, you know what, is fine, slightly annoying, but we'll take it. With that being said, this has been long enough, so let's go ahead and move on to the character builds, outro, and final thoughts. Well then, how did the various teams perform? Now, of course, we're starting off with our Blade team. I'm actually pretty happy with Blade's performance, considering the fact that you can actually get him from losing your 50-50s. Now, of course, the reason why he was able to clear so well is because we had all of his premium supports. If you're missing any of those, his performance will suffer. So do I think you should go out of your way to pull for him? No, but if you have these units and you happen to pick him off of the limited banner by losing a 50-50 to him, then you know what, might as well go for it. Might as well build him. He can give you some decent results, especially into wind weakness. But even if it's not into wind weakness, you know, as long as it's like blast targets, then he does a decent job, especially if you don't have a unit fit for the job. If you get his E1, of course he'll perform even better, and then you won't need all of his premium teammates, just some of them, and then he will definitely still get the job done. I can imagine like an E1 Ron May, or, you know, maybe a Gallagher or a Luocha instead of a Hyacinth would still be able to get you probably around the 5 cycle clear in this Memory of Chaos. So yeah, his E1 definitely really hoping I can get it by losing my 50-50 to it. When it comes to the Dot team, of course, it did decently well. It doesn't need as much investment in newer units as something like the Blade team, and there also isn't as much character overlap, which is very useful. So, you know, I always think like it's good to have two different archetypes that don't overlap with their teammates too much. For example, Phynon with Castris, because they're both, one's an attack scaler, one's a HP scaler, or Dot with Castris, Dot with Phynon. You know, it really depends what you want to do. Or Dot with HP scaling. So I do recommend investing in about two archetypes so you don't get too much overlap, and I do actually think Dot is a decent one. If you have Black Swan and Kafka, then definitely I do recommend pulling for Hyacinth when she comes out. That is my plan. So I do think this Dot performance will be even stronger when Hyacinth releases. And then finally for the Acheron team, we don't have Silverwolf, so if we had, we don't have Cypher, so if we had Cypher, it would probably perform better, but because then we'd have a 3.0 unit. I mean, for a full version 2 team, it still did decently well, although we will be hoping for more synergistic units with Acheron. For example, Sustain, who might be more fitting for Acheron. Maybe Terravox, we'll have to see. Or, sorry, not Terravox, that's the name they used to use. Dunhung's new form. So, yeah, with that being said, that's my thoughts on the characters. Now, let's real quick go through the builds. I don't want to spend too much time on this because, you know, we do have quite a few to get to here. 135 speed on Blade, 70 crit rate, 143 crit damage. When it comes to our Sunday, he's 1 speed slower, wherever he is. There you go, 134 speed, 235 crit damage. On Bronya's Light Cone as well, E0S1, not E0S1, sorry, E0 on Bronya Light Cone as well as Sacrados, you know, just speed and crit damage. I'm not going to go through individual relics all that much, but as you can see, Eidolon's E0, Eidolon E0. When it comes to our Tribi as well, 88 speed, 54 crit, 164 crit damage, Dance, S5, Traces maxed out under the basic attack, Poet and Bone Set as well as E0. When it comes to our Hyacinth, 201 speed, 5k HP, 94 crit damage on the S5 Hurt Store Lightcon, Traces fully maxed out for the most part, Relics on the Warrior Goddess set as well as the Giant Tree set, Eidolons once again E0. When it comes to our Dot team, Kafka is on 163 speed, with 124 ERR, as well as on the tutorial mission Lightcon, which everyone can get from the Herta store at S5 nowadays. Trace is mostly maxed out. Yeah, need to work on that slightly before thingy comes out. Also 2p speed, just to show off the main stats real quick, attack percentage here, and then speed, as well as attack percentage on Loose Shark, as well as ERR here as well. And then Eidolon's E0, just so that we can get as many detonations off as possible. Black Swan over 3k attack, 140 speed with 125 effect hit rate. On an S4, Eyes of the Prey, Traces maxed out, Relics. On the Prisoner set, of course, EHR, as well as on the Pan-Cosmic Enterprise set with wind and attack percentage as well, Eidolon's E0. When it comes to our Robin, wherever she is, there we go, 4k attack, 122 speed, 124 ERR as well, S5 of the Event Lightcon, once again, Chase is maxed out, 2-piece speed, 2-piece attack, just so that we can hit that 4k plus on Von Mac as well, Eidolon's E0 once again. When it comes to our Aventurine, 135 speed, 4k defense as well, a little bit of VHR, also on the Chain of the Universal Market Lightcon, just because that will help us, you know, just in case we need a bit more stacks for Acheron or a little bit more Dot in those teams. You know, it doesn't really do much, but it can help as well. Luocha, 162 speed as well. 2.6k attack, a little bit of effect res as well. Perfect timing Lightcon. Traces mostly maxed out. He gets all the healing that he needs to done. Outgoing healing bonus, speed as well. Attack on Broken Keel as well. Eidolon's also E0. And then when it comes to our Acheron as well, there we go. 107 speed, 167 crit damage, 65 crit rate. This will of course go higher in battle. S4 gonna see well. Trace is mostly maxed out, skill has a little bit left. Of course the Prisoner set gives you quite a lot of crit rate and crit damage, which we don't quite see in the stats page quite yet. And then also on the Rootland Arena set as well, with a lot of attack percentage, E0 as well. When it comes to our Jiaocho, now we need to swap around a few light cons real quick. Picking up the Azot Prey S4 from Black Swan, but he's 167 speed. on 119 ERR as well, with 145 effective rate or something like that. Eyes of the Prey S4. Traces, ult and talent maxed out, 2p speed as well as 2p speed, so that we can hit that 160 plus. Also on the EHR set as well. Eidolon's also E0, HP orb as well as for a bit of sustain if you're wondering why. And then Silverwolf as well, 149 speed, also just grabbing Kafka's Lightcon as well. As you can see here, 124 ER as well, 78% effect hit rate. Also traces, attack traces missing because she used to not do much damage in the past, but now she actually does, so these can be worth leveling just a bit. Relics, we are on the Eagle set here as well, picking up enough speed so that we can get a decent breakpoint, and then Lushaka as well for a bit of extra attack for our Acheron, and yeah, 149 speed as well. So yeah, that's it for our character builds. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know how you find the buffed units, let me know how you found this current Memory of Chaos. With that being said, I'll see you guys next time. See ya.